And all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Great. Okay, great. Thank you. Lauren R., is there anybody on for public comment?
No,
Okay. No, Gus? Is Gus not on at all?
no Gus.
Okay. Let's hope he's up. Let's hope he's okay. And then our first item is update on status questionnaire. I saw your email, Lauren, at 4 o'clock. I didn't look at it yet, but it looks like you've taken all the data and kind of coalesced it together on who did what, or who said what. So we'll take a look at that, and what I can do is I can add after we I can see I'll review it, and if I can add anything to our deliverable document, I'll add it there. We might have to review it together just to kind of ensure that we all agree on what kind of the conclusions are, if there are any. If not, we can just state the facts of how many said this, how many said that. But then we've got the free form where people answered, just free form way. So I don't got to figure out how we're going to be able to coalesce that into something meaningful for the document.
Yeah, I can take a run at that if you want.
Oh, that'd be great. That'd be great, Bob.
Yeah, you can do that. I'll just categorize the responses into a couple of general categories and see if we can get something out of it.
Okay. Lauren, what was it? Do you think it was helpful, the questionnaire? Do you think what we wanted to, I haven't looked at what you sent over yet. So do you think what we intended we received, or was it worth our time? I think so.
I definitely think more than anything, it was worth your time because of how much participation you got. You had 133 responses, which is one of the highest that we had. The Island Avenue survey that was at the same time only got 99, but that's still a pretty decent number considering like the low participation at town meeting. So I think just to get 133 responses was something worthwhile for all of you.
Okay. 133 out of 13,000. That's it is what it is. We all know participation is the issues, one of the main issues here. Okay. And I haven't heard from anybody in the town, and that's fine, but it's just a little surprising. And don't feel badly yourself about that you can't tell people, you can't force them to do anything. But, and I know you were, more than a few times you went to bat for us for them to give us a call or write in or send us a memo. So whatever, but it is what it is. So, and then committee conclusions. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So Lauren, with the survey, like for example, in the last two in your full file, is both from the same person and they're duplicative. So, I mean, I understand this isn't a statistically significant data set and whatnot, but are there, like, do we pull those out, the duplicates, or do we not care and just whatever, just include them? I mean, in the tallies, because they're in the numbers, right? But anyway, just a general question.
I think I did pull them out because I did see that.
Okay.
So you'll see that like some of the answers only have 128 responses, because some people didn't do them, and I did see that that last person did it twice.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. Okay.
And then like there were some, I remember just at least anecdotally when we're getting the emails, there were some like from Guilford and, so residents, do they get pulled out too?
There was one, and I meant to flag it for
Okay.
you guys in here because I did see
Yeah.
that today too, but it was very strange because he didn't answer any of the agree or disagree questions. They just
Right.
gave you one open-ended question.
Yeah. Okay.
That's someone with a lot of time on their hands to be answering questions in a different town. So,
Yeah.
yeah, unless he lived here beforehand or something.
I mean, it's just,
But
I know we all haven't looked at the data in any excruciating detail, but I mean, at least for me, like when I look at these, sorts of poll responses, you look at the top two boxes and the bottom two boxes, right? And if you do that, I mean, if we were following this and this only, there would really be no strong opinion for change, really, not by the numbers. But it's interesting because then in the comments,
right,
you have very interesting, detailed comments. Now, granted, they're going to be from the bottom two boxes, the no's. But it is just interesting, like you look at efficiency, 53.4 yes to 13.8 no. And same with communication. I mean, one of the things that we've even talked about as a group, right? Like not understanding how government operates in town to, host of other things. 82.5%, it's fine. Agree, strongly agree. It's effective, or whatever word we used. 7.6% no. So it's interesting to me. I think if we were pollsters or whatnot, or we had consultants, maybe the questions would have been phrased a little bit different. But
sure.
But it's still interesting, and to Lauren's point, to have all these responses. I mean, that's the thing that blew my mind. I thought we were going to get 5. Or maybe less.
I know. That's true. And as I got those emails, I opened every one of them, reviewed them quickly, but you could tell by the responses, agree or disagree strongly, what kind of responses you were going to kind of get below. If you got somebody angry up top, you knew you were going to get some good comments below. So I used to say to myself, "Oh God, here we go. This is going to be a good one." So no, I think it was definitely worth the time. It wasn't a big deal, and when the first 50 or so came in, I was very surprised, and then wow, this is really great. So Lauren, your attempt at communicating was effective, Lauren Noble, and then Lauren Rhines, and then Lauren Noble. I think you put something on Facebook, which I think after one of our meetings you did it. I think the next day or something, and we got a flurry of activity there too. I never actually saw it, but it clearly it worked. So that was great. But so any other comments on the questionnaire? I'll jump into it later tonight or tomorrow morning, and get some more details. And Bob, thanks for jumping in on that with the data into that document. So I'm into that document, our deliverable document, we'll call it, just for short, to keep it short. And I love the comments, the ability to put comments in there. So Bob, I'm looking at your comments from yesterday, 3 o'clock. We were probably in the same time. Your comment sentence references legislative body, the paragraph focuses on executive officer. So
it belongs in the previous paragraph.
So
Sorry.
So
easily
fixable. Thank you. And then Bob, your other comment, all qualified voters of the municipality debate and vote on policy decisions at town meeting. That's close to that. If this form of government requires, is there a general statute there? I don't know. I don't even know. I don't know. I have to look into that one. And then, so Bob, once again, so Bob, you're right. We can tally the statistics in your next comment. Yep. And you know, as I mentioned in my email, Jean was in a different document than our document, so I just cut and paste what she had in hers and put in ours, only just so we'd have a record of it.
Is hers the red?
Yeah, she
Okay.
freeformed it. You know, she freeformed it, and as I think you might have noted, I think down later, you know, we can look at all of that, all of the insertions of what we've put in ourselves. Yeah, you know, I'd like to take a run at the public forums. I took a lot of notes on that, even though there were just a few participants. Let me make a note to add detail to public forums. And you know, no agenda here, but clearly those people who wanted to speak to us that night clearly had an agenda with what they wanted to talk about, and there's no getting around that, you know. So I don't mind adding that stuff in there. Again, we can talk about the public questionnaire. I can embellish a little on the town employee survey for your review. Town employee survey. And then I'm in blue there under town employee agent interviews. And I just wrote down, I just took from my own notes and talking with all of these people, some of the things that were on their minds. And Bob, you made a comment, were the people interviewed aware that their comments would be published in a report? Also, is this report part of the town record and available via FOI, FOIA? And I think it's definitely FOIA, definitely FOIA document. And honestly, I asked about 50% of the people if I can use their comments. And I'll go back and ask everybody if that's okay. I should have made it just kind of like check off the box in my notes to ask people if I can use their comments. I gotta believe that they know what I'm going to be using their comments only because of their official capacity and what they do. But let's just make sure. And I'm happy to do that.
I mean, I would think from a FOIA perspective, your notes are
absolutely
subject to FOIA.
Absolutely.
So, and maybe like we talked last time, maybe it just becomes a presentation. I mean, sure, if someone's watching this video and they know that it's there, they know what document to request. But, at the same time, that's fine. But at the same time, maybe the presentation becomes more of a roll up instead of so-and-so said this, so-and-so said that.
Okay.
Here's the things that we've heard. There's some that think this way, some that think that way. Then it's more just a reporting of the information that we got instead of.
Exactly. I agree.
Yeah, I think a summary would be good.
Yep. So we could move this around or take it out, or even, even delete it if you want. I just thought I thought it might be helpful to the people that are on the next charter revision committee to understand where some of the people in the town, what they were thinking. Rather than.
I mean, and I still think you could present it in a way that gets that across. So like, for example, you could say the committee met with certain individuals employed by the town, including the superintendent of schools, the board of education, blah, 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 blah. And then from those meetings, some of the things that resonated were X, Y, and Z, instead of saying the board of finance chair said this,
Gotcha.
So,
yeah.
Okay. So make it a little more general. Okay.
Yeah. But I mean, you still need to collect the data. So like, even if I was to, take this and write it, or Bob Hubbard was to take another section, or Lauren was to take another section, all the data is there, and we can at least independently work from it, however we want to present it.
Gotcha. Okay. No, it's a good thought. Good thought. And oh crap. Where'd I go here? Crap. Let me get back in. Somehow my Google just went off. Come on.
And somebody make edits.
Okay. Bookmark. Yeah, making a bookmark just for this document was genius, Leo. So thank you for that.
Yeah, it's the only way I can find it.
Hey,
That big
I
tip.
got that going for me.
Yeah,
which is nice.
which is nice.
Gunga, gunga, lunga.
Gunga Lagunga. Yeah, this is foyable, so whatever what the heck is Gunga Lagunga?
Yeah, exactly. These people have lost it.
They have. What's tallied? Peter's got a comment in there. There seems to be general agreement about extending the first selectman and board of selectmen to 4 years, not 2. See a little feedback if you want to consider moving town manager comment being favored. Okay, we can same comment that Leo you just made. We can change some of that. Peter has same comment as Bob R. Not sure folks know. Okay, we'll figure that out. Actually, I don't. If we just generalize what we're doing, we don't even really have to say who said what.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay.
Bob, what comes to mind is I think just, the executive summary is going to end up being the final product. And when there's, if in fact they form the charter revision committee to actually impart change, there's going to be a transition from an exploration by that committee that will get into more of the details, which we should be able to reference is to the basis for that executive summary. I don't know that it all actually has to be in there for the final presentation.
Yep. True. Yeah. What about what the first selectman said in red there? Is that something we can generalize as well? We spoke with 5 of the former first selectmen, and the general comments are boom, 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 boom. Same thing there?
I tend to think stand individually because of the nature of their position. It's sort of like a public comment.
You think keep it in, Peter? Bob?
Yeah, I tend to think that, past first select persons that might want to remain.
Okay.
I tend to think that way. I tend to go that way.
I go either way on that. Okay, we'll keep it in for now. Bob Reinhardt said not relevant to the charter or the committee. About the social media.
Yeah, but I'm concerned about social media and politics. It's not really.
No, it's not. But you'll recall he was very sensitive about that.
Because he got beat up.
And he got beat up big.
But that's not part of the charter. I don't think it's
not. It's not. But should it?
It's the hazard of the job.
Yeah, it is the hazard of the job.
It has nothing to do with what we've been asked to do, though. I understand.
Right.
It's not fair.
So we should pull it out?
Yeah, I think so. It's almost like and part of one of my concerns too about keeping the specific first selectman in there with the comments, it's that it's a summary of notes you took during a conversation. It's not like it was done by a reporter where there were questions and then answers to the questions. So it's a bit free form.
It is.
And I think if you're going to leave that in, you should give them the opportunity to review it. Because you're saying this is what they said, and it's almost telephone, it's almost third hand now.
Right.
They said it, you wrote it, you interpreted and summarized it. So at this point, I'm not sure how far afield it is from what they actually think. And if it's going to be positioned as a public statement, you should give them that chance to.
That's fair.
But I think Tom's point, Tom Banish's point though, is that the role of social media as a dynamic in the political process and as a means for communicating issues within the town, it's fraught with misinformation, and it makes it difficult for a political leader to be accurately represented if there's a social media movement which is political in nature, or I don't want to even say political, but it's patently incorrect. And so it lends itself to a structure of government. It is a component of what our government needs to address. So I, in fairness to Tom, I think he brings that up, that it's a valid point, because it's impacting our election process, our political process. And I would be inclined to leave it in there, honestly. You know, former first selectman, he thinks it's important to the structure of the government. I think it should be in there. That's my thoughts.
Okay.
But I mean, I wasn't on this call, and maybe I'm just missing something, but how does it connect to the structure of the government?
The dynamic of the process. And so if we're looking at sort of supplanting first selectman, say, with a town manager, just for argument's sake, is that something that we need to consider, because it's a dynamic in the election process, because it impacts the accuracy of information. And so if you're looking to remove politics, you know, some of the advocates for the town manager are because they want to remove politics from as much as possible from the position. That's, you know, social media weighs really heavily on the processes within our government right now. So, am I making myself clear on that, or you got that looking?
Oh yeah, I get what you're saying. I'm just not sure how that can be addressed.
I think it's, in all fairness to Tom, his complete statement should be in there. And if it's
right, and my point is that I don't see that as a statement. That's Bob's notes of something, of a conversation.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
Act as opposed to a statement.
If he wants to make a statement and includes that, that's fine. That's his choice to put that in there.
You know,
it's gotten a little. I it's social media is making it all crazy. Be crazy right now.
It is. You know, they changed the farm market to the other parking lot over in the old airport there, whatever they call it, Salt Meadow now. And you'd think that, you know, they blamed Peggy for it. And I don't care who's in it, but they blamed the first selectman for making the change. I watched the whole thing unfold, and people were just completely ignorant about the facts and making all these statements. I don't care what party you're in, you know, and then it had nothing to do with it to start with. It's just so depressing. It's so that's
the impact of social media these days.
Yeah, you can't ignore it, but you can't. I don't know. You just can't let it drive you crazy, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, and
I don't know, but this gets into very. I mean, I don't. As a charter review committee, I'm still struggling a little bit, because, you know, now I'm thinking, oh, so we're going to amend the charter to not allow social media. Like, you can't do that, obviously.
You can't. It can't. I'm not even sure where it would go.
I don't know what it. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yes, it is a very complicated issue if you're a politician. And yeah, you've got to be savvy in it. And if you're not, then you're going to have problems. But yeah, anyway, I mean, again, this is still the notes. I mean, keep it all. Yeah. I mean, and we can, you know, work on our drafts, and, you know, that's the point of drafts, right? They change all the time.
Right.
So, yeah.
Now, if you
and then
get
like Bob had said, you know, maybe we could get just some additional clarity from Tom, and then maybe it's a clear statement of what he was meaning to get across to us. Yeah. Right.
I think summarizing it is a much safer way to go, because again, you made it very clear to me that my notes. Think about all of our notes in this entire process. They're all subject to our own personal viewpoints. They're subject to our own, experiences. And what I think happened in a meeting might not be what anyone else thinks happened in that same meeting. It's like playing telephone. So,
Would it be
Yeah.
fair to go back? Would it be fair to go back to these people and ask them to provide their own summary, or to edit their summary to see if they feel it's an accurate reflection of their position?
Yeah. I feel almost like it's less important now, other than looking at it from a whole with all the first selectmen, kind of generalizing it in a summary, to say, hey, we met with, 5 former first selectmen. Here are the general takeaways that were coming from that. And I think then the charter revision people go back to them with, okay, we want to meet with you formally, and almost take almost like a deposition, I guess. Not really though, but just, they're going to have to do it again. There's no way around it. And hopefully the pandemic won't maybe let them do it face to face, which I think is always much more efficient. On the current Board of Selectmen, again, those are my notes. Gene added strong supporter of the current form of government. I added what I thought I heard. Again, we can do some generalizations. I haven't heard from Peggy, and I haven't heard from Aaron or Scott yet. So hopefully we can get to them in the next couple of weeks. In the interviews with the other, in the interviews with the other municipalities, Gene is in red and I'm in blue, and I just added bullet points, and I'm not sure which you like better. I think it's kind of important to tell the committee why we were kind of in those towns, just because of the different forms of government. We just didn't pick them out of a hat. We did it because, Cheshire has a town council versus a town, meeting form of government. Clinton has a town manager. Fairfield is an RTM. Guilford is just like ours, very similar to ours. And North Branford has a town manager, and Wallingford has a mayor. Is that something you want to keep in there because it's specific to each town? I'm not crazy really about keeping both the red and the blue in there. My comments and Gene's, we might want to go with one or the other, or combine them somehow. Does anybody have an opinion on that?
So again, we're all going to have our own sort of writing styles, but if it were me, and I was the king of the memo, I think probably what I would do is I would say, interviews with other municipalities, and then you lay it up with a little bit of what does that mean? Well, the committee members went out and met with representatives of different towns, and we chose Fairfield, Cheshire, Clinton, blah, 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 because those were wide swaths at towns that are generally similar to Madison, right, and are different forms of government. And we did that to get the general input from each one of the people that we're able to meet with, something like this. And then for each one, you would talk about some of the details, which are here.
Yeah.
I think that whether it's the bullets or the text, they can both be melded into a summary.
Yeah.
And would get that general perception of what you learned. I mean, I don't know if like all of the intricate sort of mechanics of how the town is set up and things like this is important, right? We're just trying to get a general sense of, hey, whoever you're meeting with, do you think your town operates pretty well? Do you see glaring issues? And I think for the most part, the general, shockingly maybe, but I think the general sort of consensus of each one was that they all said this form of government works pretty well for us.
Right.
really. That's what they all sort of said, right?
They did, and but that's not unexpected when you're talking
Right.
to the leaders of their own town, right? So,
Right. Or a town clerk. I mean, you know,
Yep.
you know, so,
Yep.
but anyway, you know, I think that, you know, maybe, you know, if we had more time and if we're looking at it a little bit different, and maybe this is part of the recommendations, at least with this section, you know, maybe we would have tried to dig in a little deeper to where towns have switched from one form or another more recently. Like I know Cheshire sort of did, and obviously
Clinton did
and
too.
stuff like
Yeah.
this.
Yep.
But, you know, maybe there's some others that we could have found. But then again, knowing that it's New England, you know, we've been doing this forever. I mean, maybe they've just been in the same form more often than not forever. So,
Well, I'll take a crack at trying to meld that together. What Gene wrote and what I wrote. I guess, I don't know, banking. I don't know. I'm a bullet point guy versus a free form guy. I don't know. We did that in the Army too, but so I'll try to meld that together into more of less of a bullet point, more of a little bit of a description discussion.
you know, and we each have different views. I mean, you see that, you know, even tonight with our discussions, and they're all good, good perspectives. I mean, the other thing that we can do is we can, like, for example, we could save this document as another document, put it up on the Google Docs platform, and use one that's more bullet point and have one that's more summary statements. You know, I mean, then you see both in front of you, and you can say, all right, so if I was reading this, what would I prefer, or what seems to be best for getting across to whoever reads this what we want to get across.
Right.
And then they're there. I mean, you know, we could even save two off of this. So this is more of the repository of everything that was dumped in, and then maybe there's a skeleton summary form or textual form, and maybe there's a skeleton bullet point form. You know, but you still have all the data, and then it just becomes or all the information, and it just becomes how do we decide collectively that we want to present it.
Right. Well, let's just keep going forward on one document for now. So two are just going to make me crazy here. I'll be thinking I'm in the wrong one, I'm in the right one, but no, that's good. That's a good point. That's a good point. Because I was looking at Gene's, and then I'm looking at mine, and then I'm thinking, well, I did the wrong one. And then I emailed you, Leo, and I said, Leo, where am I on this? Did I do this right or wrong? I'm glad I did it right. There's not a lot of confidence there. So if you, under Wallingford, issues identified and recommendations, again, that's red and that's Gene's. You know, I think she's making general comments there to us versus anything else. Do you get that sense? So we can delete that if everybody agrees. She believes that we've done a thorough identification of these, so you know, that's fine. And then I think that all of the ideas listed as common themes and corrective actions are valid and worthy of exploration. As we discussed tonight, we need to research Connecticut general statutes to ensure that some of our potential solutions are allowable. We also need to be realistic in regard to some of our own solutions, maybe some great ideas, but really the Charter Review Commission will even consider. Okay, that's fair. You know, the more I talk to people about what we're doing, it seems like if there's change going to be made in Madison at the charter revision level, it's going to be incremental at best, and there's not going to be a lot of wholesale change. You know, that's what I've been getting from people. But And that's history. History bears that out. I think we can, so Bob, you made a comment today, 12:15. I think we can summarize the potential solutions below in a few recommendations that are pragmatic and fall into categories listed here. So is that you doing solution section, problem statement number 1? Is
No,
that you
that's
doing that?
the ones below is basically I took from the spreadsheet and started to
Great.
put them in, bunch them, and then rearrange the potential solutions because there are a lot of common themes throughout the solutions.
Right.
Trying to break them down. But up here, I thought we could just, if you're going to do an executive summary, you can say the recommendations of the following, regardless of their connection to a problem or solution, just these are the recommendations and almost in a standalone fashion, but still have this section below like we had in the spreadsheet.
Yeah, no, I think that was absolutely,
So I
yeah.
was going to ask, what do you recommend? We recommend doing 5 things, and these are them.
I love it. I love it. That comes under the recommendations, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's almost like the beginning.
So what Jean has here in red, she talked about beginning with the easiest and intermediate. And do you feel that we need to rank them as in relation to how hard or difficult something, difficult or easy something is going to be? You know, I don't see it. You know, and
I don't
if
think
she's
so.
listening in, I apologize, Jean, for not disagreeing with you. All right, so let's take that out. So let me see here. Okay, and we can move that up. All right, and so yeah, Bob, I like your comment there at 12:15. Under common themes, voter engagement, separation of power. Bob, you've taken those and put them below.
Well, we also
nothing,
changed them a little bit. Those don't track directly to what was in the last tab on the spreadsheet.
they don't?
No.
No, because I wrote this before that existed. So if I was
Oh.
prophetic and knew exactly what Bob R was going to write, then I would have written it that
You were
way.
pretty
Yeah,
close. You got 2 out of
I thought it was really close, voter engagement.
you got 2 out of 3.
Yeah.
You can almost make B and D together to say oversight.
Yep. Yeah, let's do that. And so do we need issues identified then? Because we're laying them out. And number,
yeah, it's all this. What's there is all the stuff that's now below.
Yeah, I just took what he and just put it in
Yeah.
paragraphs.
So we can amend the above to make it flow better.
I don't want to mess with that concise summary of what we're going to try to do.
Yeah. Okay. Good. So what left do we have? What do we have left? Is it maybe another way of saying it?
Well, I think one thing is on the potential solutions. There are a lot, and I tried to look at this. So for that first one of voter engagement, I tried to then group them into common areas could summarize as a recommendation.
Yeah.
Like the first 3 all talk about the political parties being woven through the charter and everything we do. And I thought we could probably get a more impactful statement if we summarize those. We can, all this stuff we can keep, but if you can summarize it and say, I tried it on the note, recommendation that the charter be revised. Oh, damn spell check. Revised.
To eliminate
all references to political parties and that all processes used within the government structure to identify and select participants on commissions and committees should follow the same direction. Something along the lines of saying specific reference to or requirement of a political party is not appropriate.
I like that.
That's what those
That's
three
Yeah,
kind of boiled down to. Get rid of
Yeah.
that. Not
I like
gonna work. Not being able to put it off. I was just looking at the charter again.
Yeah.
Doesn't say Republican, Democrat, but it always says. I thought that help.
You're coming in and out. I'm losing you, Bob.
I know. Hold on. Am I back?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
you were just coming in a little
Yeah, the
like
internet
the-
side there.
the
Like Adam.
teacher on the Peanuts. Wah wah wah, wah wah wah. Yeah. Yeah, no, that's good stuff right there.
So what do you guys think? Should we summarize to some extent and kind of create something a little punchier?
Yeah.
And these could be as for examples.
Sure.
Keep the detail, but
Yeah, I love that idea. People are some people are going to lose their minds though if about the political party aspect of it, I think. And that's okay.
Well, I mean, there's other ways. Well, one, any of the changes have to comply with Connecticut statutes, right? So when
Right.
you look at the representation requirements, some of it, unfortunately, is that way.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean, for example, like when we've talked about Fairfield, right? This has come up a bunch. So how does Fairfield do their Board of Selectmen, or the RTM? And there is a political nomination process, but there's also a petition process. So, there's other ways to address it that complies with Connecticut statutes. It addresses the issue, and that, I mean, frankly, if I think currently, this is my opinion as an unaffiliated or whatever them called, but I think if you were to read the charter as someone who isn't within a political party, you would feel as though you're not welcome. And just having an option that makes it easier by adding a petition, that adjusts the whole tone, right? So it's not so much that any one of the two big parties is bad. It's just that now it's more inclusive.
Yeah. And
so that might be the way to get at it, instead of, an elimination of, which may not comply with statutes.
it might not. We need to check on that. Yeah. That's just, to me, what you just talked about is just, that's what democracy is all about. Having everybody have access, and doesn't matter what party you're with, or even if you have a party. So, yeah.
But the intent of what Bob wrote is exactly that. It's just what are the actual mechanics?
I love it. Absolutely. Bob, your next comment, do we have primaries for local election or local government? And I don't think
I'm just curious. I don't know.
Yeah.
I saw it there.
I've never heard of one. If two Democrats want to run, what happens? The state, the town, local committees control that, I guess. I don't know honestly. Lauren, I see your face, but I don't see you. Do you know if local governments have primaries if two people are at odds in the same party?
Not generally, because generally it's up to the town committee to nominate one person forward. So if Gus would tell you that he's probably the last time that the RTC had two people that wanted to run. So Gus changed his party affiliation to unaffiliated in order to run.
And he got the petitions and he ran and he won.
Yeah.
God, I love that. That's awesome.
Well, it happened that one time. That's good.
Yeah. 19, what do you think that was? When was that, do you believe?
Exceptions.
He got it in 83.
Oh, okay. So it's Okay, I was a sophomore in college. No, freshman in college. Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't born yet, so
Not that. Oh,
if
really?
you want to put that in perspective.
Oh, that hurts. It really hurts.
I
You
doubt
weren't
the other
born yet.
Lauren was born yet either.
That's shoot. I've
Yeah,
got some things this is FOIA-able, so I really can't say anything. I've got some good replies on that one. I can say that I've got socks older than Lauren N. I know that. I love that one. So, all right. So, these speak to, Bob, your next comment, these speak to essentially using social media. Yeah. I was telling somebody today at the nonprofit board I sit on is that using Zoom and GoToMeeting and all the things, that's here to stay. You know, that should be implemented in everyday corporate policy and in, I think, what a town does or a municipality does for people to have access. I think it would definitely increase participation, that's for sure. And we've seen it work with our questionnaire.
Mhm.
You know, when Lauren N went on and Lauren R went on and put it on the website and put it on Facebook, we got a lot of participation. I think that's the future.
And it's very interesting too. It's beyond, you know, our scope and maybe our little town, but it's very interesting when you look at how other cities, other countries are using electronic type communications and input and sort of crowdsourcing of solutions and stuff like this for their town. You know, I mean, it's probably light years away for us, but you know,
yeah,
there's a whole host of really clever things out there, whether it's like Reykjavik or Boston with its, like, you know, I forget what the app is called, but if you see a pothole and it needs to be fixed, you send in a thing.
That started in New Haven.
You know, no, there you go.
Yeah.
You know, even New Haven.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
but
that's awesome.
But it really is interesting, you know, or even, like I said, the sort of crowdfunding of problems, you know, where you get, like, it's almost like a Kickstarter, but it's with public funds, where, you know, people vote and contribute concepts and ideas to work on. It's just really fascinating. I think one day we'll see more of that stuff, let alone just to educate and publicize, which is really important, I think, right now.
Yeah. On that nonprofit board I sit on, bring that up again. There's we need to have a vote on something in October, and we use GoToMeeting versus Zoom, and there's the ability to actually vote for something that we're trying to do, and it will tabulate everything for you. And we usually do it by paper ballot, you know, little paper ballots. This will instantaneously tell us what the results of that election are. That's wild. We're probably, you know, this is changing everything, and I think a lot of it for the good. So Bob, you have eliminated the solution, redundant, amend term length 2 to 4 years for BOS consideration. Yep. Yeah, term limits should be included. I agree. Again, don't know if that's subject to Connecticut state statute or not. Maybe Lauren can check that out for us sometime during the week. Should you put a placeholder here, Bob, about that?
I don't know. That was something I was throwing out at one point. I'm not so sure. I remember what Bob was saying last time about term limits. I'm not sure how needed they are in a small town.
Right.
I mean, it's usually trying to keep a political machine from going in all the time.
What's the problem you're trying to fix?
Yeah, that's just it. We had the opposite problem right now. No one's around long enough.
That's true.
I mean, I remember when I was growing up in Fairfield, we had a first selectman that everybody loved. He did a terrific job, got to know the town real well, was the incumbent for years, and it ran well. Why be forced to replace him with a political process?
I'm with you.
Everybody's happy. Let the people vote. That's a democracy.
You made a good argument last time.
Yeah, to quote somebody last week, somebody said, well, what if you got a rock star? Might have been you, Bob. What if
Yeah.
you got a rock star that just is cranking away and you got 3 terms? Why not let him do a 4th?
Why not put a term limit on a town manager? So you can only do 5 years and we got to replace you. What's the difference?
Yeah. Except one's elected, one isn't, kind of.
And we're talking about a political position, you know.
Well,
we're a republic, you know, we choose our leaders.
Yeah, no, town manager wouldn't be an elected.
Exactly.
Elected, nor would he be, he wouldn't be elected, he wouldn't be subject to political party, issues that way, or tried not to be, so. All right. This is great stuff, Bob. I appreciate you doing this. So I'm gonna go in.
So just, after that first section, I really didn't do much as far as trying to pull the different solutions together into common ones, or summarize them. I think that's probably something we need to do. And we did in the first section skip one of the comments I had, which was,
I'm sorry.
in that second grouping, all of the ones that speak to changing the way the town government is structured. It's
What
not
page are you?
change in the form of government, but it's some level of change in how things are done.
What page
We
are
need
you
to
on,
come
Bob?
to a conclusion on that.
Where are you?
Start
This
with
is the 8:52 a.m. comment.
Yeah, that's it.
8:52.
I had 2 cups of coffee by then. I was rolling.
I love it. I don't see it. 8:52. Was that this morning?
Yeah.
Oh, got you right.
Yeah.
These relate to change in government.
You got to click on it to get it bigger.
Yep. Get the big one. Yeah. Yep. These relate to changes, either a modification of the town manager or the town meeting, or the creation of a new form. Example, we should consider consolidate into a single recommendation. The current town charter should be modified to allow either. We should current time. Huh. Consolidate. That's a pretty wild statement there. I didn't think we were going to make a recommendation.
We have 4 of them that say to, so we have to address that. We have 4 of them that have stuck with this. We can decide not to, but we can't just. These are straight from that spreadsheet, which were straight from the other tab.
I thought it was more like options.
And that's the thing, right? I mean, it's just in the presentation, but I think, like, for example, the first quote is a generally fine statement with maybe some wordsmithing as how you summarize that grouping of potential solutions to address voter engagement. That could be, doesn't mean you have to do it. The review commission, right, will figure out what they want to decide and what they want to present, but that is an option for that problem statement.
Yep. Well,
I mean, right now, as much as we get feedback that everyone seems to feel that the current style of government is functioning well for the town, it's still not functioning as it was intended. Right. Which, and I just read through the charter again. You're supposed to have a quorum. At the quorum, they're supposed to elect a moderator from the electorate, not the. They basically have, we've we've ceded all power and authority to the Board of Selectmen. That's fine. Then state that. State that we're going to elect 5 people and they run the town and they don't ask questions, or some other modification saying only if it has to do with 3 things do you need a town meeting. But seriously, if it was real and 5,000 people showed up to debate the budget, nothing would get done. First, you can't seat them anywhere.
Right.
Second part is they'll never get done. It's 5,000 people. It's chaos. You can't have a direct democracy like that. It doesn't work when you get this big. And then no one's going to be informed.
Right.
Or a lot of people won't have the time to learn it. So they're going to try to learn it going along. So I think you just need to address it. You keep it and then say, we're going to keep trying to do this 75 quorum and through all the other notification stuff. But it's whatever the form is, we have to try to make something that can function as specified. This product's not meeting its specifications. It needs to be revised. Simple as that.
Right.
It's not passing the quality control. 75 people never show up.
No.
So just say, okay, and then if you think through this, you want 5 people running the whole town. Maybe you want 7 or 9, so you get a little more debate and you have room for the unaffiliated voters to vote someone in. I don't know. Again, I had a couple cups of coffee. It was just kind of flowing. But I was trying to summarize all the stuff we've talked about, and it seemed to me we have to do something.
Yeah.
Make some kind of recommendation that it seems wrong to just stay silent on this thing.
Can't stay silent on it. No way.
And it could be just that first part. It's not quite working the way it was designed, and it should be addressed.
Right. And that can go in a couple of different places, though. You know?
Did any of that come up in the meetings with other towns?
Yeah.
What did they say?
There's no holy grail. There's no, I've asked every single one of them, what do you do? And they're really, no one has any answers on voter engagement or turnout or participation. Cheshire has the town council, no town meeting. And there's a strong mayor in Wallingford. They've almost, it's like years ago recognized this and adjusted their own form of government way back, years and years ago, other than Clinton, who recently changed to that town manager, only because they were having very difficult times trying to get people to agree. Town manager kind of helped take the politics out of that, kind of professionalized it a little more. With an executive, did the budget, no more board of finance. So they've really changed it. I forget who I was talking to. Somebody was talking to me, I got to remember, last week about Fairfield, saying it was, and Bob, you lived there, but they're saying how difficult it was to get people to participate as members of the RTM. Fairfield is a lot bigger than Madison is, that's for sure.
Well, when I was there, it was almost this size. It's grown exponentially since I was
there. Right. And I keep meaning to call my friend over in Brantford, who was politically active for a while, and they've got an RTM. And just for my own personal education, I just wanted to see how messy it was, or maybe it's not messy yet. So I just want to find that out. But Bob, as far as your comment, 852, with the highly injected caffeine into you, I think you give it a run. Give it a run and inject it into somewhere. I can't tell you where it would go. Voter engagement.
Well, the way that we've crafted voter engagement now, or the way that it is here, right, it talks about and creates a potential lack of separation of powers between executive and legislature. And that's exactly what we're talking about, right? The legislature abdicates all responsibility to the Board of Selectmen because it doesn't show up. I mean, now, none of us really know that we're the legislature, so that's a problem. But
right.
maybe that's a one pager when you sign up to pay your taxes. It comes in your tax bill or something. I don't know, where it's like, by the way this town works is Board of Selectmen, executive, town meeting, legislature. That means show up and vote. If you don't, whatever those guys say goes. You know, I mean, maybe that's one of the things.
Yeah, and that could be, the voter education could be a path forward on this, but.
Yeah.
You know, but, you know, I think that's what we're talking about. That's the lack of separation of powers. And if you intend the town meeting to function as a check, it doesn't. So if you want it to be that way, instead of just be written in some document that a quorum is met 2 times in the last 10 years, then you might want to think about how you adjust that to address the separation of powers issues.
Yeah.
Or the checks and balances, or however you want to define it.
Yeah. Both are good.
I mean, when I worked on this one, it seemed that the solutions rolled up into 3 basic recommendations. The first one being to look at the charter and how processes that are used to run the government could potentially be biased against the unaffiliated voter and then disengage them from trying to participate or making it difficult for them to participate. That's just a quick summary. The second one is the reliance on the Electorate Act as a legislation just doesn't work. So then that needs to be addressed in how the government is defined or through educational process. And the last one is just, I forget who wrote the second bullet is basically it. An enhanced information position. Basically, we need to get better at talking to people. And it can't just be through the local paper.
Yeah, I think I added some things in there about.
I was a little snarky at first. I said join the 20th century, but I took that out.
That was when the caffeine hit your heart muscle, right?
Yeah, that's when I get snarky. It's true. I know.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, I'm all for, like, they're big in corporate world now, where we call them town meetings, where the CEO or the CFO, and we do these town meetings for our employees.
Well, you may want to rebrand that, because if you have town meetings that are attended to the same level as Madison,
yeah. No, see, at
we call ours town halls. That's a whole lot better.
I'm sorry, town halls. I call them
ours town halls too.
See, that's why I wouldn't do well politically, is because I understand 2 forms of organization. One is the CEO form of organization, and the other is military. And so I know those 2. I don't understand any other. So that's why I'm more of an authoritarian. Hey, I'm in charge, and this is how we're going to do it. At work anyway. So seems to work out okay. But anyway. Yeah. So education. So I added selectmen conduct quarterly or biannual information town meetings, and maybe I should call them town halls, but or selectmen conduct quarterly or biannual town meetings for public input for consideration. We can kind of put those together, I guess. But
yeah, it's basically a State of the Union address. Here's how it's going. What do you think?
Yeah.
And you can use electronic format for that. It'd be easy.
Without a doubt.
Without a doubt. Well, Lauren had mentioned right in our call last time that there is that. It's like the 3rd week in January or whatever it is. I forget. I'm going off of memory, which is gonna not work. But there's a whole host of tools that can help with the education, and whether it's educating, for example, that, hey, like we talked, you are the legislature. If you don't show up, you can't complain.
Right.
To, just what's going on. And I think, Banish did it pretty well. And I think that Peggy does it pretty well too, with some of the communications that they do and the Twitters and the tweets and stuff. And, I think anything like that, all the tools that are in the toolbox should be used. But yeah, this is all good stuff.
Yeah. I saw somebody complain the other day about getting 2 phone calls about the town beaches being open. Why did I get 2 phone calls? I was like, you can't do anything right. You can't do anything.
Can't win.
Yeah, you can't win.
Yeah.
I didn't get 2. What if I didn't get any? Oh my God. I'm thinking,
What's
that's what
funny,
you got?
maybe I need to figure out how you sign up for that, but I don't get any
It's right on the website.
notifications from the town, but
got
I
the
get
website.
notifications from Stamford. The town of Stamford sends me their COVID text updates, and then I get a voicemail from the mayor, and I don't know how that happened.
There's a spot on the town website. I forget where it is. I fell into it one time. You can just like clicking off all these.
Click off all the stuff
notifications.
you can get. Police commission,
Yeah.
sewer
I got
detail.
some
I mean, there's all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
So I signed up for everything, and then I whittled it down what I really want to know.
The
So-
phone calls are through the state. They're through a state system. So you can still get to that through the town website, but it's ctalert.gov.
Yep.
And that's
got
how
that.
you get phone calls and text messages. So if you're getting something for Stamford, it may be, is it to your cell phone?
Yeah.
Yeah, it may be that whoever had your cell phone number before you had an address registered in Stamford, and that the Nixle hasn't updated itself.
Well, don't you work there?
Yeah.
Isn't your corporate office in Stamford, Leo?
No, Bethel.
Oh, bet. Okay.
And
Okay.
I've had my same phone number for 10 years. 11 years.
Somebody
something like
must
that.
have signed you up.
Yeah, or somebody typed the wrong number when they signed themselves up.
Yeah.
I mean, I appreciate the information. It's nice to be included. I don't mind,
Yeah. But
It's just another text. So.
Stanford may as well be, New York. So.
Right.
Okay. All right.
But I
So,
mean, even
Bob,
that kind of stuff,
yeah.
right? When you look at the folks on the phone or on the call, just talking about it now, some people fell into it. It's there, I suppose, if you go out and search for it, but there's probably some easy way to let people know about all this stuff.
Absolutely.
Right.
They
know how to send a tax bill. So if they know how to send a tax bill, they should know how to send other information that's helpful.
Yeah. I'd get in trouble for saying this, but people also have to take responsibility for themselves. So if you want to be informed, you have to want to be informed. And if you want to be informed, then find out how to be informed. And if you have a question, make a phone call. Find out, go to the website, fill out the things that you need to fill out, and don't expect to be spoon-fed all this stuff. Take responsibility. Okay, I'm off my soapbox now. But anyway, okay. Well, I'm going to go in and tomorrow, or maybe Wednesday, and I'll take a crack at the town employee survey, add some detail there. I'll try to meld those comments into kind of a summary for both the people that we interviewed and the town, the first selectman, and then I'll do the same thing within the town discussions. So I like that. I like that better, Leo. I think that was your idea, but making it more of a summary versus bullet pointed for each town. I kind of like that. And again, whoever they pick for.
Oh, sorry, I didn't. Go ahead, Bob.
No. I mean, we'll have all of our data for the charter review people if they want to interview us or you know, they want to get more detail, we have all the data for them. So that's no problem.
I mean, if you want, just so we divide and conquer a little bit more, I can do the town interview one. If
Okay.
you want to go with
For select- or the interviews.
the town
clerk.
employee agent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Why don't you take a crack at that?
And I'll take it to stab at the town,
Okay.
the towns.
The employees.
No, the
No.
town of Wallingford, North
Gotcha.
Branford.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And I'll do the first selectman. Okay. And okay, so take that. I'll do the town employee survey, and then I'll try to look at we'll look at the questionnaire, the results of the questionnaire. Maybe we can add some things in there that we see that are important to us. We'll have all the data for them too, but we can maybe make a summary of what we found in the town employees, and go from there.
Cool.
All right. We missing anything? And Bob, on your 852 comment, if you wanna take a crack at that, that's
Yeah.
I mean, you
What
don't
I'll
need to wordsmith much more. I think it's really great from there. But
what I'll do is I'll go through all the potential solutions, and then under recommendations, I'll just start grabbing the ones that seem to
Okay.
make the most sense, and then y'all can tear them apart.
that's great. That's great.
Okay.
So
Because there's
when-
a lot of
so-
overlap between the three different problems. And
For sure. So Bob, when you see something yellowed, that's the comment over on the right.
Yep.
Is that how that works? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because if you know what I do, if I keep my cursor on the yellow part, it does say you.
Yeah.
That's kind
And
of
it pops up.
cool. Okay.
It works nice.
It does work nice. I would have done that if I knew how to do that instead of going red and blue for me and Jean. You know, I would say Jean's in red, Bob's in blue, you know. So I'm gonna really miss her. She's such a great person. You know, you guys know, I know that I mean, you guys know this, that I worked with her 23 years ago. And she's just as great as she is now, she was like that then. Just a real quality person. Madison loses a really nice person in this town, you know, not just because of all the things she did politically, but just a really quality person. So, but hopefully she'll reply, and then I can reply back to you guys. So, okay. Anything else for now? Lauren R, is Gus on?
He was on for about 10 minutes and now he's gone again.
Okay. All right. I'll check in with him, make sure he's okay. And then anyway, so we'll is there a motion to adjourn? I'll call it
So
at
moved.
7:20. Is there a second?
Sure, second.
Bob H. Hey, I saw your son on the trail a couple of times.
Oh, did you?
What a great dog.
Thanks. What
Is
about
he-
my
is he-
son?
Yeah, he's a great guy too.
No
He's a great
comment.
guy.
Bob
He's
is
a great guy,
practicing to
too.
be a politician.
He's a great guy. You know what? The more people I meet, the more I like their dogs. But that's not to your son. I don't really know him, you know. But what that dog stopped growing?
Yeah, he's 3 years old. That's about it.
He's got paws the size of my fist.
Yeah.
He must be a great swimmer.
Oh yeah, he loves to swim. Yeah.
Jeez, I'd
All
love
right,
to pet
I
him.
gotta
But
go. Dinner
yeah, all
awaits.
right, thanks guys. We'll adjourn. Have a
Okay.
great week.
Right.
We'll talk to you during the
Thanks.
week.
Talk to you
Thank
later.
you.
Bye.
Take
Bye,
care.
everybody.
Sorry about that.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Thanks, Lauren. Take care.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.